Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Blecher. I am, in fact, a digital marketing consultant out of Simsbury, Connecticut. I have been in this business for 24 years. So as long as the internet has been a thing, I have been working in it, trying to do marketing, advertising, and generally to promote businesses online. Um, I had spent 15 years running a digital marketing agency, but the last 10 I've been consulting for small, medium, large, and enterprise level clients, mostly to help them achieve their goals with marketing. So where I wanted to begin, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, is I wanted to talk a little bit about Facebook itself. So people know that Facebook is something special. They know that it's big, but they don't always know how big. Facebook actually has almost 3 billion active users. It's a bonkers number. 7 out of 10 US adults use Facebook, 70% of us. The average user spends about 16 hours online per month on Facebook. The audience is about half male, half female. So that's really good to know. Some other social platforms skew female, some skew male. 70% of users access Facebook on a mobile device every single day. And about 50% go on multiple times a day. So when we're thinking about social media platforms, there are a bunch of choices, but we really know that Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla. So let's talk about Connecticut. That's my favorite place. I'm out here in Simsbury. I do a lot of marketing for local businesses. So how many people in Connecticut are on Facebook? Well, Connecticut right now has about 3.5 million people that live here. 1.5 million of them are on social media, majority are Facebook. And 80% of people on Facebook people who access Facebook, it's through their phone. So the primary experience is that everyone's on Facebook and they're all doing it from their phone. That's just a baseline bit of knowledge so that we know this is a place we should spend time. And the primary experience is not necessarily what we're going to see on a desktop. It's what we're going to see on our phone. So where do we talk? Where do we start this discussion about Facebook? It's a huge, huge topic. It didn't used to be. Back in the day, there were just posts and it was very easy, but it's grown to be this huge monolith. So we want to start with specifically the news feed. Every single one of those 1.5 million people have their own curated news feed based on the Facebook algorithm. Now, back in the day, Facebook said, oh, tell us who your friends are, tell us what groups you like, and we'll show you everything from those people. Well, very quickly, people garnered about 330 friends on average and 15 groups that they followed. So there was too much content coming together for Facebook to show it all. So it started to make choices about what it was going to show you. And now Facebook shows you basically 3 different kinds of content. Connected content, which is anybody you said you've liked, anybody you follow, any groups that you're part of, people that you've friended. And what's very interesting is posts you've interacted with. 66% of what's on your feed falls into that category. So that makes a big case for getting someone to follow you, getting somebody to friend you, because you have a better chance of showing up in those sort of 6 out of 10 posts. 23% of your feed is set aside for new content. That means you don't know me, we're not friends, you're not part of my group, you didn't watch my live. And that's really what we're all fighting for. We're trying to say, okay, I'm going to post content on Facebook for my business in hopes that I'm going to show up in that 23%. 11% is paid ads. That's the easiest way to show up, but it costs money. And not that social media posting is free. It takes time, it takes energy. And if you hire someone to do it, it absolutely costs money. But 11% is set aside for advertising that's paid for, and you pay per million views. So the news feed, aka the algorithm, got super, super complicated. But before I get into sort of larger topics in Facebook, I just wanted to take 1 second to check our tire pressure. There's a foundational bit of Facebook, and that is actually your business page. Most people have one already. It's a basic part of getting set up on Facebook. But what I actually find is they set it up quickly early on and it doesn't look great. So it's very important before you start spending time creating content, all this time, all this energy, just take a quick look at your Facebook page. There are 4 things that I think are really important. 1, you have to have a beautiful cover image. This is an example of a product company. If you don't have a lot of resources, take your product, walk outside, stick it somewhere, and then use portrait mode on your iPhone. Basically, what portrait mode does is make your product real sharp and everything around it nice and fuzzy. So you can see with Pesty, they actually did that exact thing. They put their product outside to make sure the lighting was good, and they used portrait mode to make sure the product was crisp and the background was fuzzy. This is a great way to create an image that's high quality very quickly. The other thing is a readable logo. A lot of small businesses will create their logo and it'll look amazing on paper. It'll look great on a sign. But then you try to put it in these little tiny boxes on Facebook and you can't read it. If you have a logo that you upload and you can't read it, it's time to actually adjust your logo for Facebook. So don't just, stick your logo in there, no one can read it and leave it. Make a second version of your logo that is more readable on a social platform. Because remember, 80% of people are on a phone. Make sure you have your contact info. Facebook does not like businesses that aren't real. And actually, they spend an insane amount of effort to get rid of fake accounts. Millions of fake accounts they spend time getting rid of. So how do you tell Facebook you're real? Put your contact information up there. Make sure you have a URL. Make sure you have an address. Make sure you have a phone number. Now, some businesses are e-commerce businesses, so the address doesn't quite matter. You may still want to put it up there. Or put a version of your address. Like if I'm in the greater New York City area, and I don't want to tell you that I'm in Jersey, where I grew up, you can use that as well. But you want to have enough contact information in there that Facebook doesn't think you're suspicious. And then you want to write just a very short, nicely written, keyword-rich intro. Now, what do I mean by keyword-rich? If I sell pest control solutions, put the word pest control solution. Any common word that you think someone might use to describe your product, work it into a sentence and use it as your intro. If you find that you made this logo very, very quickly, or your friend made the logo, or your nephew made the logo, and it's just not working, there's a site called looka.com, looka.com. It's a free way. You answer a bunch of questions and they generate 100 logos for you. It's a great way to say, okay, it's time for us to upgrade. Brands do it all the time. I don't know if you guys are familiar with KFC, but at one point in time, they were Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they had a Kentucky Fried Chicken logo. Well, time has gone on and now they have the KFC logo. So brands change their logos all the time. Usually it's over time. But if you're finding yourself with a logo that maybe you created and doesn't suit you anymore, doesn't work in all contexts, go to looka.com and see if you can't upgrade. Say you don't sell a product. You are in the construction business. You renovate kitchens. You renovate decks. You want to have a beautiful cover image of your work, right? So if you're a roofer, it's going to be a roof. If you do kitchens, it's going to be a kitchen. Don't take the picture yourself. That's the one piece of advice. When people look at a photo, they judge the photo quality and they assign that quality to you. So if I take a picture of a kitchen and it doesn't look this beautiful because it's not well lit, I'm going to think that your work is not beautiful, that your work is not great, that your work level is down. So if you want somebody to value your craft, you actually need to take a higher quality image. Now, the big question is, who's going to take that image? There are 2 types of photographers that I always recommend using. One is a family photographer. So let's say you're actually a consultant and you need a really great picture of yourself. You can get a headshot, but just call a family photographer. They can do a really good job. If you are actually in construction, real estate photographers, the people who every time a house comes on a market, they go and take shots of it. They know how to light the interior so it looks really, really expensive. And again, check your logo, contact information, and keyword-rich info. I'll show you one more just because I know there's a smattering of people on the presentation today. What if you're a consultant, a financial consultant, you're a lawyer, you don't have a physical object to show? Then you use that cover image to either associate yourself with a brand, like in this case, he's a financial advisor, but he's associated with Edward Jones, or you go find stock images of people, places, and things that are relevant for what you're selling. So if you are, a life coach, you're going to have a different image than if you are a divorce lawyer. A divorce lawyer, I probably want to see the interior of an office that's really fancy. If I'm a life coach, I probably want to see something that is more comforting, maybe an outdoor photo. So you can use that cover image to associate yourself with a place or a feeling. Let's say you took a bunch of photos, you put them up there, and it's just not looking great. Don't be afraid to use stock imagery. The cheapest stock imagery out there is from Freepik, Freepik. And then just a little bit higher than that is iStock. There are higher. And then if you want to go to Getty, you can pay $35 an image. But for these, you can pay $10 and get as many images that in a month as you want. But go through the stock photos. It's much better to use a stock photo when you're starting out than to take your own photo that's poorly lit, because people will assign the quality of the photo to the quality of your work. Great, out of the way. So once we've checked our Facebook page and we feel like we've got the four things set, you want to build some followers in order to become part of that connected content. Remember, we talked about part of the feed is connected content. So how do I build followers if I don't have any? Well, you're going to add a Facebook link to the header and footer of your website. You're going to include a call to action in all your email newsletters that you send out. You're going to embed Facebook posts in any blog posts that you are promoting. If you have other social platforms, call out Facebook, because people are on multiple platforms and their preferred platform can shift. The two big ones, though, are you got to ask your current customers to follow you. And you can do that in an email. You can do that in text. If they're older, you can do it in a postcard with a QR code. You'll be surprised. The boomers are good at QR codes. And then the other one that I suggest all the time is there's an invite feature in Meta Business Suite. So let's pause for a second. Sarah, you've been talking about Facebook. Well, Facebook didn't just stay Facebook. Zuckerberg was like, what else should I be doing? So he bought Instagram and he bought a lot of other companies. And then over time, he goes, well, we're more than Facebook. So they rebranded Facebook plus Instagram plus a whole bunch of other companies as Meta. So you'll hear Meta. It's the parent company, basically, of Facebook now. Now, the benefit of that is if you post something on Facebook, you can actually post it on Instagram really quickly, or vice versa, through Meta Business Suite. So if you don't have a Meta Business Suite account, it's free. It's basically Facebook, but I'll show you later, it's tools that you can use in order to post multiple places. In Meta Business Suite, they added this feature. It's my favorite feature. Basically, anyone who reacts to your posts, you can invite them to follow you. So when you have a post that goes outside of your current follower set, because it was kind of neat and great, and then it got suggested, you can invite all of them to follow you. And that is a really good way to keep jumping up and adding followers. Now, why do we add followers? Because anyone who's following us is connected. And we have a chance not only to be in the suggested set of posts on their feed, we can also be in the connected set if we do a good job. How's everybody doing? Good? All right. Basics done. Let's talk social content. Who doesn't love it? It's a pile of work, but it's a lot of fun. So Facebook started out just as posts. That's how old I am. I remember that time. But then Snapchat came along and was taking some of their customers. So they created something called stories. And then TikTok came along, and then Facebook was like, so they created Reels, and so on and so forth. So every time another social platform pops up with the ability to do something like Meetup, then they created events. So now Facebook has all these different formats. They have posts, which is just a photo most often. The easiest thing to do is have a photo of your product, have a photo of you and your associates, working hard, retiling or, repairing a roof, or you and your client having a nice interaction if you're a therapist. The easiest post is a photo. You can also do a series of photos. You can also do a video. But posts are kind of like the baseline. Unfortunately, now Facebook is like, you guys have been posting, you guys have been doing posts and it's really boring content. We don't like it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to demote posts and we're going to really promote anyone who's making stories, reels, lives, events, and groups. So that suggested content area is going to get filled not so much with posts anymore. It's getting filled with stories, reels, lives, events, and groups. So posts used to go out, like I said before, if I were following you, I would see all of your posts. And then I started following 330 people on average, pages on average. So I had 330 friends. And there were too many. So only 5% of posts now make it to your followers, who in theory are your existing customers. So posts are like not the best for organic reach right now. That said, you write a post that's hilarious about a baby animal or a baby that's, hilarious, it could go further than your own group. But right now, if you're just posting a photo, about if you have 100 people that are following you, about 5 of them will see it. It's not the best reach. So let's take a look at the different content types one by one. We'll look at some good examples. In this case, Crocs is a national brand, but I'll show you a local in a second. So Facebook posts, as I mentioned, a simple photo, a series of photos, or it could be video content. The important thing here is that the photo is the content. It doesn't matter what you write, only 20% of people are going to read it. People don't like to read, they look at the photo. So in this case, Crocs came out with some NBA shoes and they put it inside a hoop. Well, that's unique. I've never seen that before. So anything that's unique or surprising, and then they took Crocs and they put them on a Christmas tree. So what they're doing is they're taking their product and they're putting it in unique situations so that I stop for a second and take a look. If I take a look and I think a Croc Christmas tree is hilarious, I'll hit like. Once I hit like and 1,000 other people hit like, all of a sudden this one post starts to be available for suggested content. So not just followers of Crocs, it'll go out to more. The two kinds of posts that win likes, interactions, all those things, they're either beautiful, really, really stunning, or they're unexpected. So when you're about to post something, think about it. Is this beautiful? Is this unexpected? Those are the two that are going to get the most interactions. And unless you have interactions, you won't really compete in any significant way for the suggested content posts on individual people's feeds. Now, Crocs is a national organization. Of course, they're going to have people that can make creative beautiful photos of Crocs, basketball Crocs that are in a hoop. But there's a local company near me called Spoonful of Britain. And basically, it's a little shop that just sells British food and stuff. But what's really interesting about this little tiny shop is they only have about, I would say, like 1,000 followers. But they have a really high engagement rate. So their engagement rate is about 2.6%. And you say, Sarah, that's super low. That's not a good engagement. No, that's an amazing engagement rate. Most engagement rates are less than 1%. So when you find a company or you yourself have 1,000 people following you and you get 10 likes and you're not feeling very confident, that's actually really great. If you get 20 likes, holy geez, you're doing really well. You need to get a lot more in order to go viral, but we'll talk about that another time. So let's take a look at Spoonful of Britain. What are some of the posts that are getting the most interaction from this little shop? Well, one, they have a picture of crumpets and they're using that portrait mode again. Remember portrait mode on the iPhone where you take a picture and the product's really sharp, but the background's all fuzzy? Yeah, they got 51 people loving crumpets. Another post that they made are the quintessential British telephone booths. But what's interesting about this, or unexpected, is that they're kind of all falling on top of each other. They also did a post about British pancakes versus American pancakes. So that one was pretty hilarious. That was pretty funny. And then they had to post it was not a very beautiful picture of a bunch of guys sitting at a table. Well, if you read it, they're first responders. We do love first responders. And they decided that they were going to offer a few new teas for Easter. And so, of course, they put a picture up of a bunny in a teacup. There are two things that get more views, more likes than anything else. And that is animals, babies. Now you're thinking to yourself, I'm a lawyer, I'm a law firm. How the heck am I going to work that in? Sometimes your business, you can't work it in. It is always effective, animals and babies, baby animals, even better. But sometimes it doesn't make sense for you. So I'm just putting that out there. We don't want to have we don't want you to be a paint company and posting dogs all day. But if every once in a while you have a nice setup of 3 different paint colors and there's a little pooch next to it, that post will get more than the rest of them. Let's talk a little bit about hashtags. So hashtags started with Twitter, and it was the only way you could really navigate around in order to find new things. And then you could also follow the hashtag. Instagram has that same sort of ability where you have hashtags and you can click on it to see more things like that. And then you can actually follow it. You can't follow hashtags on Facebook. It's not really what it was meant to be. Facebook just added it on because it was so popular in other places. So we don't use hashtags the same way on Facebook that we would in other places. We want to have probably 3 to 5 hashtags max on Facebook. And when you're thinking about which hashtag, think of it more as search engine optimization, right? You're telling the Facebook algorithm what you're similar to, as opposed to a human using those hashtags in order to find new things. So a lot of people ask me, well, Sarah, what hashtag should I use? And there's this one strategy that I like quite a bit. It's basically called the 3x3, and you select tags that explain what your service is, who it's for, and why they need it. So if I were to sell clothing, and let's say it was for like a big and tall store, the who would be like tall man, big man, maybe even dad bod. Us ladies, we don't mind the dad bod. The what would be t-shirts, maybe cardigans, maybe summer clothes. And the why would be to stay cool, find the perfect shirt, cheap shirt, those sorts of things. So if you find yourself really stressing out about hashtags, know that they don't play the same role on Facebook that they do they're not as critical on Facebook as they are on other social platforms. And what you're really looking to do is to connect your content with similar content, so Facebook knows who you're relevant to. There's a new thing happening on Facebook where, not new, but in order to get in those suggested posts, Facebook is liking the location. So Facebook wants to present you with content that's closer in geography to you. So some people are starting to add hashtags with the location, where, if you're a shop in New Haven, you always include New Haven, so that if you're competing against other posts trying to get in somebody's feed, the New Haven one will win with someone who's maybe further away. Actually, we should pause for a second. How's everyone doing? Anything good here?
Doing good, Sarah. We do have a few questions. You want to pause and take a few?
Let's pause that was a lot of information to start, and I promise there's more.
Okay, we got a few questions here, especially on the topics you've been covering. So Brad had a couple questions around kind of the early stages of using Facebook, and he mentioned that it can be challenging to build followers if you've never had a Facebook personal account, as the business page is part of that ecosystem. That's kind of his understanding, and he's trying to get people to connect into his nonprofit page. Question is there other ways to get connections, as most of his connections are on LinkedIn, not Facebook?
Yeah, most of the connections that you have to make are then in person. I know people were like, what? But if you have a shop, or if you're at an event as a nonprofit, let's say there's one here called, I think it was like Light Up Simsbury. They have a big event every year. During that event, you should ask people to follow you on Facebook. So it's not always about getting in suggested content, someone seeing something that you're doing and following you. Sometimes it is an in-person physical event, or inviting all your friends on LinkedIn to follow you on Facebook. You absolutely can do that through private messaging. It's a pain, but what you want to do is get critical mass, right? In the beginning, everything is tough. Getting your first customer is tough. But as you grow, once you have 100 people on average, they have 330 friends each. So the universe gets bigger much quicker if you can get some better content. But it does start, it's pounding the pavement in the beginning.
Good advice. We did have a question about one of the logo websites you mentioned at the beginning. This question's from Marlene. And I should have mentioned at the top that we'll send out a copy of these slides with the recording link tomorrow. So just so folks know that. But Marlene asked if you could remind us the name of the logo upgrade website that you mentioned.
It's called Looka, so LOOKA.com. And
Okay.
basically, it's a wizard. It takes you through some questions, and then it shows you a whole bunch, and it gives you a lot of great ideas. And then from there, you can either buy one if you like it, or it'll give you an idea how to fix yours.
Okay. And then around that, along the same lines with Looka, we did a question about, I don't know if you know the answer to this one, but someone asked if they alter an image after they upload it, do they still own the rights to that image? Do you happen to know that? I know you're
No,
not an attorney.
yeah, this one you don't actually upload an image and it fixes it. You'd have to use an artificial intelligence tool in order to upload your own logo and have it adjust it. This one is more like you answer a bunch of questions and it shows you what your logo probably should have been in the beginning.
Okay, we'll do one last question here, and then we can jump back in, and we'll have more time at the end for Q&A, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned using an iPhone a few times, but Michelle asked if they're using an Android instead of an iPhone. I'm assuming kind of same rules apply.
Yeah, it's the same. It's just a Facebook app. For photography. Yeah, actually there's different tools, but look for portrait mode for Android. Search Google, portrait mode for Android, and then it'll tell you the steps you need to go through. But portrait mode is key. The difference between regular photos where the background's in view and your product's in view, your product doesn't feel like the hero. The minute you use portrait mode on an iPhone, or I don't have an Android, but just look up on Google, portrait mode on Android, your quality of photo goes up. And as I mentioned, once that happens, the perceived quality of what you're offering goes up.
Sarah, this is Kathleen. I have an Android phone and it has the same exact thing. It has portrait for photos and portrait mode for videos as well.
Yeah. Oh, portrait for video is great. Oh, that's a good one.
It also has, mine anyway, mine's a Samsung. It has a food mode where you can pinpoint exactly where you want the focus and everything else is blurred.
I'm telling you, those crumpets, somebody used an Android because that's a great photo.
All right, we'll save some more questions for the latter part. Want to jump back in?
So posts we just covered, usually a photo, a series of photo, or a video. But let's talk about stories. So basically, Snapchat came around and Facebook was like, oh, heck no, you're not taking our people. We're going to create something called stories. Stories only last for 24 hours. It's basically like an image or a video that you add stickers to. The stickers could be fun stickers or interactive ones. And then Facebook put it at the top of the feed. So if you're thinking to yourself, where should I spend my time making content? Stories show up at the top of the feed. So anyone who's following you will see that story or is likely to see that story more than someone who's following you and you just make a post. So there's a location sticker and a link sticker, but let's take a look at how to make a story very, very quickly. So I'd click on create story. It gives me a couple of options, but I picked some pasta I made the other night. And then I selected the photo. I then went in and said, okay, I want to add some stickers. And remember, stickers can be creative or they could be interactive. And I added a location sticker. Now, once I add the location sticker, I said, I want to add a few more things. So I threw in a cat, I threw in a rainbow. You can throw in other photos from your feed, and I added some music. So when I was done, it showed me this sort of bowl of pasta with some things that are animated, and then it tagged it with Simsbury, Connecticut. The one thing you don't get through the Facebook stories is a link sticker. So you may want to use a third-party tool or Instagram to create the stories and then just publish it in both places. But what this does is I made a story. It's going to show up at the top of many people's feeds and it's tagged with Simsbury. So if I'm in competition with other company or people in Simsbury or outside of Simsbury, I'll win if the person is living there. Because remember, the algorithm likes you to be closer together. So let's talk about reels for a second. Reels are just videos, but they're very, very short. Nobody wants a 2-minute reel. Nobody wants a 10-minute reel, 15 to 20 seconds. The two major types of reels are like showing someone how to do something. So a cabinet maker might show you how they're making the cabinet. Now they don't show you how to make a cabinet over the course of a half hour or 2 hours. They do it speedy. So they'll take a video of the person making a cabinet and then they'll just speed the whole thing up. That type of reel is super popular. The others are artists, right? So they're making a painting. And again, they might do the painting in real time. If it's quick, if the painting took 7 hours, they might speed it up. You say, Sarah, how do I do this video? How do I speed things up? How do I, maybe edit a few and add a few things into it? There's a wonderful tool called CapCut. And CapCut is the easiest video editing app you can use. The other thing I will mention about CapCut, which is a super benefit, is most people are looking at reels when they're not supposed to be. So they're supposed to be paying attention to something else in the world. And they're like, you know what, this is boring me. I'm just going to look at Facebook. I can't have my volume on, or the person in the room will know I'm not paying attention to them. So most people don't have volume on when they're looking at reels. So it makes sense to add captions. And if you go, Sarah, I don't know how to add captions, CapCut can add the captions for you. So here we have a cabinet maker, we have an artist using reels. What if I was a dance studio? It may be even easier. You take a video, a short 15 to 20-second video of a class. Maybe you do 5 different classes and you post once a month, someone doing the class. If you're a divorce lawyer or some other therapist, you don't really have something to show. So it's really about you and your expert advice. So a lot of times it's you on camera. And again, using CapCut, I can't always turn it on and I don't always want to turn it on. So if I'm sitting here and very interested in this divorce lawyer, I don't want anybody around me knowing that I'm considering divorce. So sometimes people leave the sound off on purpose because they're sensitive subjects. And then if you're a hair salon, you have something to show the person getting their hair colored. So there's lots of ways to use reels. My favorite part about reels is they're 15 to 20 seconds. That's it. If someone's making a really long story, you can go longer. But if someone's making a really long story, post it and see how well it does against your shorter content. And I think your shorter content will win. Let's talk about Facebook Live. So Facebook Live is basically live streaming at a moment in time. What I love about Facebook Live is it goes up to all the feeds. It really is a winner in terms of anyone who's looking at their feed. If a live happens, especially to somebody who's connected to them, the Facebook algorithm will include it as a suggested content. So I'm part of a dog rescue. I'm surprised we haven't heard the dog bark yet. But they do a Facebook Live every single week on Adoption Day. So every Saturday, they have 2 hours. They bring all the dogs out. You can adopt them. And they just go one by one and show all the dogs. That's it. And what they ended up is being in everyone's feed once a week. So the two kinds of Facebook Lives are usually someone talking direct to the camera to give advice, or the reverse. They're just walking and interviewing people. The only suggestion I have about Facebook Lives is sound. People are very accommodating on visuals for lives and things like that, but they need to hear. So when you're taking your iPhone or your Android phone around, if the person is as far away as this woman is, you won't be able to hear her. So invest in a microphone that connects into your phone. Let's look at a couple lives. So on the left, we have some ladies who sell makeup and cosmetics. So they're showing you 2 new palettes that have just come out, and they're going to show you how to apply them. The woman on the right, she's a major crafter. She likes to make crafts. And then St. Patrick's Day is coming up. So she's showing you how to do the craft project. Other kinds of Facebook Lives, as I had mentioned on the left, if you're a nonprofit, you can show your dogs, you can show your kids. If it's a kids educational, although now that I say that out loud, you can only show kids from behind without parent permission. So if you do have something that involves children, the parents have to consent before the event that their child can be seen. Otherwise, just do it from behind. That usually works okay. And on the right, you're like, Sarah, I repair roofs. I'm a plumber. I'm doing tile work. all of those businesses can benefit from lives. This gentleman, he's so lovely. He actually is walking by, showing everybody and talking about the process of this particular roof getting renovated. Two more things we got to cover: events and groups. So Facebook events, it's not like you're having the event on Facebook. It's just a listing of your event on Facebook. But what's amazing about it is that people who follow you can say they're interested or going. The minute somebody does that, it goes out to their friends and has a very high likelihood chance of being in that suggested content, right? Because I said I was interested in, and actually a fantastic place, the American Mural Project out in Winstead, Connecticut. It's a 5-story piece of artwork that's absolutely stellar. They had a band come, Nikita. I said I was interested. That interest allows Facebook to say, oh, I should tell her friends. And remember, on average, we all have about 330 friends. Groups. Now, groups is a little bit different. This is a very interesting, there's 2 ways to use groups. The one is to go looking for groups, and there's millions of them. The groups usually fall into 3 categories: topic, like women in marketing; location, like Simsbury; or brand, so SCORE, small business community. But in these groups, there's actually 3 sizes. There's small, medium, and large. Small is like under 1,000 people. Medium is like 1,000 to maybe 5, maybe more. And then large, which is like 10,000 plus. In the small groups, it has a group owner. They're usually very protective. They're like, do not post anything ever. And if you try, I'm going to reject you. The medium-sized groups, usually they say, you can promote yourself, but only on Thursday. Okay, that's fine. And then the large groups, usually it's anything goes, because there's so much volume, nobody's checking, or they have a couple of automated things. So one way to use groups is to go find ones that are relevant for your business. If I'm selling gardening supplies, maybe I go look at the gardening ones and I offer up to the gardening people some wonderful promotion. Or if, I'm a local Simsbury roofer, or I might go to Simsbury, Avon, and Farmington, 3, towns around me, and mention about, some special offer I have on roofing. So there are ways to mention yourself on Facebook groups. There will be a lot of rules that apply, but once you find 1 or 2 groups that are good for you, you usually post about, once or twice a month promoting your business. The other way to use groups is like, I don't know, everyone, if you're familiar with soap operas. So way back in the day, the soap companies were like, we want to advertise to people, but they're not listening to us. So they go, what we're going to do? We're going to create a TV drama and then put our commercials in the middle. And and thus the soap opera was born. So you can create your own community. Typically it has no mention of your brand in it, but it could be, roof repair Q&A. And basically people can ask their questions about roofing repair, and the community chats with itself. But because you're the owner, every week you can post about your business, just like a soap opera. So those are the 2 ways to use Facebook groups. Again, just as a reminder, what kind of content can make it into the suggested posts? They're not going to suggest anything that hasn't had some sort of interaction, likes, shares, or comments. Facebook really wants something that's animated or video content, even if it's just a clip, like 10 seconds, 5 seconds. If anybody's ever watched a documentary recently, sometimes with video, it's as simple as the pan left to right, the pan bottom up, the push in, and that could be enough movement. We don't really need to necessarily have a whole storyline with cuts and, beginning and rising action. And we don't necessarily need that level of storytelling, but some sort of visual movement so that it's not just your product, but your product with some documentary style panning could be good enough. And then the newest thing is really Facebook is like, oh my God, people are too much content still. How do we narrow it down? Well, if you're posting in Simsbury and you tag it with Simsbury and I'm in Simsbury, the chances of you showing up for me go up considerably. So again, what formats get the most visibility? Page posts, not as much anymore. Not zero, but 5% of your current followers will see your posts by default. So if you have 100 people, maybe only 5 saw it. So you might not get any interactions unless it has some sort of engaging quality to it. Stories, reels, lives, events, groups, that's really where Facebook is telling you through the algorithm it wants you to spend your energy. Should we pause here for a second, see how people are doing?
Sure. We actually got some questions that are relevant for some of the things you just talked about.
Okay.
On the Facebook Live topic, we got a question about how long you'd recommend a Facebook Live post be. And then also, do you know if you're able to kind of download it from a previous live event, maybe repost it on your website or anywhere else?
Yeah, so I have to think more about lives. You probably get a search on Google for some of these answers, but the live is automatically archived in the video section. The length of the live really doesn't matter per se. It's not 15 or 20 seconds. Lives are like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You're doing something substantial, or maybe there's a piano player at your, you had a special piano night at your wine bar, and so you might do a live for a few of the songs, right? Or like the Dog Star Rescue, their live is about an hour long, 45 minutes, because they go to all the dogs, and there's about 50 dogs, and you meet each dog one by one. So it's not so much about the live's length, other than it's not short. It automatically gets archived in the video section of Facebook. I don't know about downloading it and uploading it other places, but that's possible.
I do, because I've done it. I've uploaded it to my
I knew it.
YouTube
Kathleen
channel.
knows everything.
Yeah, you can totally do it. And what I did was I edited the video to put a good thumbnail on it and made it good for YouTube. But yes, you can download that video and you can repurpose it. You can cut it up and use pieces of it just like you could any other video.
The only thing I would suggest, though, is you can't make a TikTok video and then upload it to Facebook. The minute it sees the watermark or feels like it's from TikTok, Facebook will demote it, and it'll demote you. So when you're doing content, Facebook wants it to be authentic or just for Facebook. So if you have raw video and you created, like, you can create a TikTok with the same video that you create your Facebook video with, or your Facebook reel, and then you can create a Facebook Live. You can do all those things together, but they want them to be uploaded what they call natively. They don't want you to take one from one system and just upload it into the other. You'll get negative points for that.
So we did just get a question about transferring or downloading a video from Facebook Live to YouTube. Are either of you saying that that's doable or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How about sharing Instagram Reels to Facebook? Is that all right, or is it better to create it in kind of the different platform?
Yeah, it's actually the same company, so they don't have any issue. Instagram and Facebook are owned by Meta, so you can take an Instagram Reel, and actually there's usually a button that says post to Facebook too.
Okay, super. We did get a question from Carrie about hashtags. They have a kind of a corporate location, and they're trying to do some hashtags to get out to their various different constituents. If they post something about Rockford and hashtag Rockford, will the algorithm take it to people in that area?
It's not automatic, but you'll have a better shot. Like, it's not the algorithm, you're fighting every moment. Like, everything's a real-time battle. It's Facebook algorithms looking at everything there is to offer. So let's say you tag it with Rockland, but you've had no interaction. Like, nobody's clicking on it from your own followers. It'll be hard for Facebook to be like, this is relevant, I should definitely show it. So I would say, in terms of, like, it's more important that it has interaction, and then if it also has a location, those two things together will give you a good chance of being in suggested content in that area for people who live in that area.
Okay, good. Maybe one more question for now, Sarah. This is a good question from Judith regarding demographics. It seems that Facebook strongly skews to an older audience. Most people I know who are under 40 and certainly under 30 have left Facebook for Instagram and TikTok. Do you have any stats that relate to that, or any different tactics for younger audiences?
Yes. So Facebook does skew older, but not super older. And there are all ages on Facebook. There, if you go on Google and say Facebook demographics 2024, a chart will show you exactly what percentage. If I was younger, so I have teenagers, right? They're on Discord. They're not even on TikTok. Like every generation has its platform. So, you know, I would say 35 plus is Facebook. And as you change life stages, Facebook becomes something you might be interested in. Instagram, a lot of ladies there. Many more that there are men, but many more ladies and younger, that sort of middle tier, like 20s to 40s. And then the youngest is TikTok and YouTube still. So, but everything that you read online is going to be an average or something generic, right? So Facebook has 3 billion people on it. You know, so you say, oh, there aren't young people on Facebook. There are. It's just, you know, maybe there'll be more on TikTok and it makes more sense to spend your limited energy. Everybody, I've never found a company, small, medium, or large, that didn't run out of time and money. So really what we're looking at is, okay, here are all my options. Here are the things that will give me a better chance of being in the suggested content. I only have so much time or money. Where should I spend my time? And it may not be, you may say, you know what, I'm going to do Instagram primary and then just share everything to Facebook. People do that.
Okay. How about any thoughts on Pinterest?
So Pinterest is crafters. Interior design people that have money is house. Pinterest is crafters and ladies. So you can definitely get, like, if you have really cool, like cookie recipes, if you're doing really good crafting, kind of creative things, a lot of DIY, then Pinterest could be an opportunity. And usually it's like one pin that gets a lot of play. So you're pinning stuff and hoping that it gets shared to the larger community. And then there's just one that people like. And then that just continually drives traffic to your site. So it's Pinterest has a whole other strategy to it.
Okay. We got some more questions, but we can save some more for the end if we like.
Okay. So the biggest question I get asked is, what content do people like? And it's not actually about the content. Everybody wants to have a feeling. So they like things that are funny, make them laugh, educational, they learn something, surprising. You can't really see in this one, but it's hilarious. It's basically a raccoon walking on its front paws and not on its back, or something ironic, like, you know, your husband says, don't tell me how to drive, and then you miss the exit, right? Or a rant, which is kind of a negative version of ironic. But so when people say, you know, this kind of post is amazing or that kind of post is amazing, the one thing I want you to sit back and say, does my post give me any feelings? Is it funny? Do I want to laugh? Do I learn something? Am I surprised by it? Is it unique? Is it beautiful? Is it surprising? If there's a feeling associated with your post, it'll do well. So, but Sarah, we all have different businesses. And as a law firm, I can't be posting about cats. And as a roofer, like, it doesn't really make sense for me to do something that's ironic because I might turn off certain customers. So the content you should create is largely dependent on the kind of business you have. There are lots of kinds of businesses. Here's just 5 as an example. Products, people who sell products. Like I own a bakery, a gift shop, a coffee shop, a jewelry shop, maybe even national. So I sell e-commerce products, or even technology products like SaaS platforms. Then there are services, like I have a nail salon, a dance studio, a roofing company, but there's something to see. Or consulting services where I'm like a lawyer, an accountant. Maybe I do cybersecurity, or I'm a therapist. I do work, but you can't see it. And then sometimes I'm an event-driven business. So I'm a theater or a nightclub, or I do children's educational programs. Or I might be a nonprofit where I'm raising money. The content that I would show for a product, for a product-based business, it's going to be the product. It's going to be the item, whatever, if it's a handbag, if it's a soccer ball, and I'm going to show that product in situations that it would likely appear in. For services, I'm going to show my before and afters, right? That's the best thing, is to show my roof all broken down and then my roof perfectly fixed, my nails all yucky, and then all of a sudden this beautiful art design. For consulting, it's a lot of advice. So expert Q&A videos, tips, things that do you find yourself in this situation, how to get out of it. For events, you're usually, for companies that are like theaters and nightclubs, you're really not promoting yourself at all. You're only promoting the artist that's coming or the show that's coming to your space. And then for fundraising, you're usually showing who you're helping. So it's not about you, it's about the children, or it's about the dogs, or it's about the, students for a PTA or a PTO. You say, Sarah, great. Tell me which exact content for me. I can't give that to you right now, but you can find that out on your own. And it's actually pretty straightforward. Go find similar businesses that are already creating popular content. There are 1 million bakeries, and a handful of them are doing an amazing job. You can see that they're doing an amazing job because you can do one simple math trick, which is they have 1,000 followers and they're getting 50 likes. And when I do the math to find out their engagement rate, it's above 1%. It's actually, if it's above 5, you're like, this is it. So you go through that bakery's feed and you say, this post didn't do well. This post did. This post didn't do well. This post did. And you pick out 3 posts that did really, really well. Create the same thing for your business. Exact same thing. Basically, if it's cookies on a plate with certain lighting, if it's, folding the dough, because that one got a lot of likes. Let's stand on the shoulders of giants. We don't have to. Back in the day, we had to guess. We don't need to guess anymore. There are law firms out there that have posts that are popular. There are roofers out there that have posts that are popular. So let's take a quick look. I found this bakery called Little Owl's Bakery. You don't want to look at any sort of peer sites that are under 1,000 followers. And the reason is the statistics don't work out. You could have 1 or 2 likes and it'll screw up your stats. So you want to be above 1,000 followers. Even better if it's above 3,000 or 5,000. You don't want somebody at 100,000 because they're going to be able to do stuff in their content that you're not going to be able to achieve financially. So somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000 followers, you take a look at their posts. Little Owl Bakery, I went through about 20 posts, and guess which ones always came out on top? Beautifully decorated cookies on a plate. So I know that if I take my cookies and I beautifully decorate them and I create sort of different plates for my different cookies, I have a really good shot of engaging my followers. If my followers are engaged, they like it, then I have a shot at appearing in the suggested content. Once I'm in the suggested content, my followers can grow. So let's take a quick look at roofing companies. There's a roofing company by us, and they had this I looked through all their posts, and here are 3 that did really well. So one was the after of a beautiful roof. The roof, it's finished, it looks great. The one thing they did, which I thought was really great, is they added their logo in the corner. If you are a service provider, sometimes a beautiful roof could be used by somebody else. So you might want to just drop your logo in the corner so they know it's you. There was a customer feedback that was really a customer quote that was really great, and it's really nicely designed. And so that one got quite a few posts or quite a few likes. Now you say, Sarah, I can't design that. That's too designed. There's actually a tool called canva.com, and canva.com has templates, and it's free to start. So you go to canva.com, CANVA, and you go to the templates for Facebook, and you find one that looks like this, and then you change it up to have your colors. And you can do that all without any technical knowledge. And then the third one was a bunch of guys standing around in vests. Turns out that this is actually the inspection team. And so people really, they like to see photos of people that they like. So let's take a look at one other example. This is the law firm, random law firm I found. They have about 1,000 followers, and they get about 15 likes per post. So they had a new associate join them. The photo is great. People were like, congrats. They had an event at the office, and they had it wasn't even a slideshow. It was just a bunch of photos from the event. Not particularly good quality photos, but the people who liked them. And then they cheated. They put a dog looking at a law book. It's not cheating, but the puppy got the most. The puppy got the most. So I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm not saying do it often. So I already mentioned it, but engagement rates are incredibly low. There's a lot of people making a lot of garbage content. So it's less than 1% engagement rate. So if you're feeling like no one's clicking on your stuff, you're with everyone else. If you have a post where, 1 to 3% engagement, feel good about yourself. Feel good. I did good. If you get something that's like 20%, that's viral. So I like to do the math every once in a while. Now, it's not guaranteed if you have 1,000 followers that all 1,000 of them saw the post. So I usually double it. So if 1,000 people are on your list and you get, 20 likes, that's 2%. I might double it and say, oh, I got a 4%. This is a really good one. We're going to create more like this. There's a bunch of things here. I'll just go through them quickly. We're visual storytelling. Remember, people don't read. You can write things. It's nice to write things that are really funny, but the picture has to stand alone. Know your tone. If you're a law firm, you may not want to be funny, even though all the sites are going to tell you to write funny posts. Invest in professional photos. I think I've said it 12 times already. You don't have to pay a lot of money. Use your family photographer, use your real estate photographer, but the quality of that photo is the quality of your work. Add some visual variation. So you probably know this because you've all been to the movies before, but there's a close-up where you see someone real small. There's a medium shot where you see them like, their belly button to the top of their head. And then there's a wide shot where you see the whole space. When I'm looking at your feed, you might want to switch it up a bit. You might want to say, oh, I'll do a close-up, and then I'll do a medium shot, and then I'll do a wide shot. And what you'll find over time is one of them might work better than others. You go, oh, the medium shot seems to be the one that's best for me. 80-20 rule. You want to offer promotions, but you can't offer, I've seen feeds where it's like promotion. It's 1 out of 5. It's an 80-20 rule. So you can do a special offer like 20% off, get a freebie, BOGO, come in for this special day, but you only want that to be 1 out of 5 posts. You can ask for engagement, and I think you should. In your copy, be direct. Follow us, like us, link in. People need suggestion. Now you're saying, Sarah, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know if I can make all this content. It is quality over quantity. So Facebook wants to see you post regularly on the same kind of schedule, just so they know you're a solid citizen, but it doesn't actually need to be daily. It could be 3 times a week, it could be once a month, whatever you can do, just be consistent. So Facebook does not like when you post 5 things and then nothing, and then 20 things and then nothing. Because Facebook's like, what are you doing? Like, you're not a consistent source of good stuff for me. And schedule everything. There are a couple tools I'll talk to you about in a second, but don't do anything in real time. Real time is going to stress you out. You have a regular job. This is a side thing that needs to get done in order to expand your base. So let's talk a little bit about effort. I did mention posting schedule. So media outlets, the news media, they post 73 times a week. Sports teams post 23 times a week. Everybody else is between 3 to 5. So if you're feeling stressed out about the volume of content you need to post, 5 is on average. That might be a goal for you. Start with 1, go to 3. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Once you start posting, you want to do it forever. So, and you can recycle. You can take things you posted and then post them again. People do that all the time if they have evergreen content. Like, you might have a Q&A about roofing, but you don't need to reinvent the Q&A. Like, the same 10 questions are asked. So I just would do one a month, right? And then repeat. Because not everybody's watching and you didn't get in front of everybody the first time around. So 5 is the goal. 3 is perfectly respectable. If you're just starting out, once a week, do once a week. There was some research done, which I thought was hilarious, which says businesses with more than 10,000 followers got a bump if they posted 2 times a day. Businesses with less than 10,000 followers got a negative 50% interaction rate by posting twice a day. Now, why is that? Because people with less than 10,000 followers are smaller and they don't have the resources that organizations with more than 10,000. But what it's saying is basically the underlying is you don't need to be twice a day, and you're going to be online. You're going to say, what's the best posting? And someone somewhere is going to be like, more is better, twice a day. No, quality over quantity. 3 times is respectable. 5 is great. one if you're just starting out. Oh, this is my schedule everything. So I said schedule everything, so I wanted to tell you how to do that. Basically, you go to Meta Business Suite, again, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. You can go there and you can create all your content and you can plan it out. So I can create my content, all my posts and my reels. I can schedule it out on a calendar and it will all go out. There are better tools. This one's free, so it might be a good place to start. And then the best part is it'll actually show you insights. So things, you don't have to do the math. You can see which posts got which engagement rates. If you find that you don't like it, there are 3 inexpensive tools. So there are lots of social media posting tools, a million actually, and they're all very expensive, $100 a month, $50 a month, $250 a month. These are cheap ones, 3 cheap ones that are decent that people like: Metrocool, Publer, and Social Pilot. I can't say which one's better for you, which one you're gonna like. I would recommend starting with just Meta, getting it done, and then looking into some of these. But what you can do with some of these tools is not only schedule it, create your posts, schedule your posts, you can recycle them. So it's good. $1 million question. I know you've been waiting a whole hour to find out. Will posting to Facebook increase my sales? Maybe. Solid maybe, but also maybe not. So this is a really important bit of information, and it is that a lot of people who are on social media didn't grow up actually learning marketing. They know social media. In marketing, it takes 5 to 7 touches to sell anything. This sweater, my fuzzy mug, anything, any object that's reasonably priced under $100, you have to be in front of a person more than once. So if you said, oh, I sent out this ad and no one answered, it's like, well, you touched them once. You need to be 5 to 7. And this isn't me, this is years of research, right? If you want to sell a car or something at that level, it's 12 to 14. You got to be out there talking to the same people over and over again, 12 to 14 times. The one thing that cuts that short is a referral. So let's say my girlfriend says, oh, Sarah, you should buy these glasses. I'll go out and buy the glasses. I don't need to do a lot of research. You don't need to show me multiple times. My friend said it was great. So you say, okay, so Sarah, how do I get, Facebook, can I use Facebook to get in front of the same people 5 to 7 times? Yes, you can pay for ads. And that's the fastest, most expensive way to do it. And you can pay to be in front of the same people 5 to 7 times until they convert. Usually it's too expensive. So you're trying to do this content thing, this social media content posting, in order to get in front of more people more times with less, without having to pay for it, right? But if you have a higher priced item, or you only get in front of someone a couple times, you really need to close the sale with other tools. So there's 2 tools that I recommend in order to get from like your 2 or 3 touches on Facebook to kind of to your 5 or 7 where they can actually convert. The one is retargeting ads. You can run an ad not to random people, but only to people who've been to your website, or only people who's liked your page, or have said they like to post. So they've already expressed interest. Your rate, your cost for that ad is very low, but all you're doing is paying to get that person from maybe 2 to 3 touches all the way up to 5 to 7. The other way to do it is to do a special offer or a free giveaway. And you ask for an email, win 3 free weeks at my gym, or, free nail tips, which is like $70. And you gather email addresses and then you email them 4 more times. That's another way to do it. So I want you to think of Facebook as a huge opportunity to get in front of a giant audience, but then also think, how am I going to close the deal? How am I going to get to that 5 to 7 in order to get it from interest to sale? So you go, Sarah, I'm super overwhelmed. I'm new. What the heck? Here's a cheat sheet. Again, you'll have this presentation after. Review your business page. Does it have all the things that it needs to have? Is that photo really great? Do I have my address on there? All the good stuff. Research posts from similar businesses. Just pick 3 that are high interactive, that have a lot of interactivity. Post twice a week or once a week for a month, just so that your feed has some good stuff on it. then invite all your past customers to join you, and then post twice a week for 2 more months. Sit down and see how you did. That's a really good plan for someone who's new. Once you get used to the tools, the posting, the content, all that stuff, then you can expand to stories, reels, lives, but don't go full throttle. Start with a post, make some good solid posts, and then after 3 months, you can start to go try some of the new things. Sarah, I've been at this a while. Thanks, but I know a lot of this stuff. That's fine too. So the one thing I would do is review, if I had a recommendation, it would be to review your past content for engagement rate. Did I get anything over 1%? What are those posts? I should keep making those. I'm going to research other businesses like mine to get some new ideas. I can go on to Google and say, amazing social media posts, but I'm going to get information back that's garbage and not specifically for my roofing company, right? Not relevant. The third thing I would suggest do is adjust your content plan to start. You never do it drastically. You just start removing the poor content. You're like, we're not going to do posts like that anymore because they didn't perform, and start replacing it with the ideas you got from the similar sites. If you're not doing the right frequency, let's say, some months you post a lot and then you don't post any, and then you post a lot and then you don't post any. Even out your schedule. And if you're posting too much, like I'm posting 9 things a day, like 5 good a week, and you'll do fine. And then for you guys, I want you to think about, how do I take all of this awareness that I'm getting, all these new touches, and extend it to 5 or 7 so that I can get to actual conversions. Whew. Everyone's still here? Everyone's still good?
We still have a lot of people in, and I know we're over our time here. I'm going to try to get to 1 or 2 more questions here. While we do that, I'm going to put up one last poll. You guys have been very patient with our polling today. This is actually if you are interested in getting a SCORE mentor. If you're not working with one and you are interested in working with one, we'll reach out to you afterwards and let you know how to do that. If you're not, that's fine. We won't bug you, and we'll only email you once about that. So, Sarah, just a couple more here. We did get a comment from Narisia, who is actually one of my clients as a SCORE mentor. More of a suggestion for folks. She uses a website called Pexels, Pexels, for free stock images, and she loves it. And I've seen her website, and it is excellent. So, Narisia, thanks for sharing that. Speaking of images, Sarah, we did get a question from Esther a while ago about, do you have any recommendations about converting images for Facebook? Like, do you have a converter tool? Any specifications on size that you could recommend?
Yeah, canva.com has a free membership. They actually have stock photos in there as well, but they have the format, the size for Facebook. So you use a Facebook size, and then you can use their stock images. You can bring in your own images. You can bring in images from other stock sources. You can add overlays. So canva.com is the place for resizing images, getting them to the right size, and creating, I want to say mashup, but that's not the word. Composite images where you have maybe 2, 3 things, or you're putting 2 things together.
Okay, great. We did get a request from Michelle asking if we could do a part 2 for this topic, since there's been so much interest and demand. So, Sarah, maybe you and I can brainstorm on that.
Yeah.
This is such a popular topic for a lot of our business owners.
Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one.
We did get a question about the invite feature in the Meta Business Suite. Can you just talk about how you can access that?
Yes. So it should be either business.facebook.com, or just type in Meta Business Suite into Google and it'll come up. Once you have an account, you have to create one. On the homepage, if you scroll down, it says invite. And it's I love it. It's my favorite tool. So it's on the homepage of Meta Business Suite. If you don't have an account, you got to create one. It's free. And it's right there. It's a big, actually, do I have a picture of it? I don't think I have a picture of it. Nah, I had a picture of it. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I can't find it. It's going to be too long, but it's on the homepage of the Meta Business Suite.
Okay. And we're at 12:15, so I almost think we should answer it there. I know we didn't get to everybody's questions today. Apologies for that. Some of the questions that we didn't get to, I think a lot of this, Sarah, can be a lot of Google or YouTube search, right? In terms of best
Yes,
tips on how to do
absolutely.
things.
The only thing I would say, Google has answers to or can direct you to wherever you need to go. The only thing I would say is that you're going to get, if you ask for what content to write, you're going to get a lot of suggestions that are not helpful. So I do suggest do your own research, go on Facebook, find other bakeries, see what's doing well, and copy it. Otherwise, you're going to try and try and try, and it's going to take you too long to find out what works.
All right, great. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining today. And Sarah, thank you very much. This is wonderful. I saw a few more comments after I mentioned part two that a lot of other folks said yes, a part two would be great. So let's think about doing that. Meanwhile, Sarah is going to be teaching another webinar in about a month on using
Yes.
ChatGPT for marketing. So be on the lookout for that one. And while we're wrapping up here, just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow you will receive a link to the video recording of this if you'd like to revisit the webinar. And you'll also get a copy of the slides from today's presentation. And if you're watching this video, check out our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search for Greater Hartford Score. You'll find all of our recordings from our webinars that we've done over the last several years. A lot of great information on that, including one that we recently did on Canva, which is relevant to what we just talked about today. Kathleen Thompson did a wonderful session on Canva a few weeks back, so you can check that out. And with that, I think we'll stop the recording and wrap up. And I want to thank everybody for joining today. Sarah, thanks again, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.